Hello, this is Todd Luck, and this is a review of Tarzan on the Planet of the Apes. This is a 5-issue crossover miniseries that was published by Dark Horse Comics in association with Boom Studios back in 2016. Let's start with the covers because I think that is a huge selling point for this miniseries. They are absolutely gorgeous, and when I talk about how covers should be done, this is a great example. This tells a story. It is well composed, detailed, a lot of thought put into it. The first cover shows, of course, Tarzan with the Mangani or great apes that he was raised with, but also apes from the Planet of the Apes movies, as well as if you look in the corner here, we get Clayton and we get Zira and Cornelius from the movies, which is really awesome. I mean, they just look absolutely perfect, like they just jump straight off the screen. And this is the cover for the second issue, and there's just so much detail in here. You can see humans, and these are humans from the time period of the original Tarzan novels, so they're dressed, appropriately. And so this speaks to the conflict between humans and apes, and so we have a regular ape and then apes from the Planet of the Apes movies, and there's just so much detail and so much going on in just this one cover. And the third cover has Tarzan and Milo, also known as Caesar, facing off against dinosaurs. And again, just the level of detail is just really great. Everything looks spot on. And just the little touches here are just fantastic. The look on this dinosaur's face that Tarzan is grabbing its nose, and this dinosaur in the background about to come out and attack them. It's just really, really cool looking stuff. And so the cover for the fourth issue is a little simpler. We only have 2 characters here in battle poses. But this is still something that looks like a cover and not a convention sketch, which is oftentimes what you get on the cover of comics nowadays. But this has great composition, fantastic level of detail, and really looks like something you could still hang on your wall, even if it's just 2 characters, right? And here's the final cover, issue 5. And this is probably my favorite because this is a scene that just fits so well with both franchises, and it's just awesome. I think the interior art is another good selling point for this miniseries. It's good. Tarzan looks like Tarzan. I think the great apes look good. Here's Kerchak being his usual charming self. I think the apes from the movies are absolutely spot on. Here's Zira and Cornelius. And I think the artist does a great job of rendering the action and telling a visual story clearly. And so let's talk about the story. So the story is the weirdest part of this. Obviously, these are 2 incredibly different franchises, right? Tarzan is jungle adventure, Planet of the Apes is purely science fiction. And so how in the world do you get Tarzan on the Planet of the Apes? So in the original Planet of the Apes movies, it's based on the premise that Earth becomes a Planet of the Apes, where apes rule over humans. And at one point, Zira and Cornelius go back in time to when humans ruled the earth. And this was back to the present, which back then was the 1970s. However, in this miniseries, we have an alternate version of that, where they end up going back further in time to Tarzan's time period. Zira said that when they arrived, they found a shipwrecked human child lost among the apes. I don't know what that means. Kala, who raises Tarzan in the novels, is not mentioned at all in this story. So they adopt Tarzan and they live among the great apes, and they build them this kind of weird Ewok village type of thing, which for some reason the great apes live in. And for various science fiction-y reasons, them going back in time causes disruptions in time and space that cause dinosaurs to appear. And if you're a longtime comic reader, you may be thinking to yourself, oh no, this is another one of those crossovers where the heroes inadvertently create a timeline that shouldn't exist. This is just House of Ape. Scarlet Witch is going to show up at the end and say, no more apes. But this one is different because this focuses on Tarzan being raised by Zira and Cornelius alongside their son Milo, who's also known as Caesar. And so as Milo and Tarzan grow older, they end up on the opposite ends of the conflict between humans and apes. And they're also brought together by the menace of the dinosaurs, which is threatening both human and apes. And they're also joined by a hope of preventing the future. Now, there's no instance where they're trying to like prevent their timeline from existing, but they do, like in the movies, know that humanity and the world is doomed unless they can stop the future. And so that theme from the movie runs throughout this miniseries. And because of the different dynamics that are present here, it takes a different course, which is kind of interesting. Like most things in life, this miniseries is far from perfect. And the biggest mistake they make is right at the beginning, the opening scene, which teases things that are happening later in the series. They accidentally say that this takes place in 2016. It does not. Very clearly, this is in the time period when the apes ruled the earth, which in the movies is 2,000 years into the future. Just keep that in mind. This is confirmed later in the series, but yeah, it does take place 2,000 years in the future. Now, who is this miniseries for? This is very much a Planet of the Apes story, and it is aimed at people who have watched the first 5 Planet of the Apes movies. And if you haven't, there is some attempt to orient you to the backstory, but it's just going to kind of give you a general sense of what's going on and who these characters are. You're definitely going to appreciate it a lot more if you've watched the old movies. And as you could probably tell when I was describing the premise of the miniseries, there's a lot of stuff in the backstory for this particular world that they've created here that's left vague, right? And you're going to have to fill in with your imagination. Some people that bothers, it doesn't bother me. I like using my imagination. I can imagine this launching like fan fiction stuff. But if that bothers you, if you have to have every single thing explained to you and spelled out, this may not be your miniseries. And so how is it on the Tarzan end of things? Well, it is clearly a Planet of the Apes story. And in my opinion, they probably could have just left Tarzan out and it would have been just as good of a story. There isn't really a lot from the Edgar Rice Burroughs novels that is in here of Tarzan. His supporting cast is completely absent. Jane does not appear at all, not even mentioned. There are no black people in Africa or anywhere else, so the Waziri and Mugambi do not appear. There are no lost cities from the novels, not even the ones that Tarzan visited with intelligent apes in them, which would have fit perfectly. So it's very much a different version of Tarzan, and everything that is from the Burroughs novels is very different here. Honestly, so different that it could have probably either been left out or switched out for something else. However, I am glad Tarzan is in here because it makes people like me who like Tarzan pick up this miniseries, and hopefully it'll make people who like Planet of the Apes interested in Tarzan. Now, what always mystified me about crossovers like this is for the last couple decades, Tarzan has not had a regular comic series. So for people who did like Tarzan, there was nothing for them to pick up. However, there is now because they have come out with a new ongoing series called Lord of the Jungle that's out right now. The 3rd issue will be hitting stores in late January. And so now, if you do like Tarzan, you got a comic you can pick up. And there's also hardcover reprints of Roy Thomas's online Tarzan comic strips that are out right now that you can also get. So it is a good time to be a Tarzan fan. All right, that's it. That's all my thoughts on Tarzan and those damn dirty apes. Like and subscribe for more videos. And until next time, see ya.